David Samson has a list of grievances that he'd like to file.
Let's just start the show over.
All right.
What happened there?
That's just
I hit
Lewis.
the wrong two buttons.
All right, let's just start over.
All right. Why?
I think
Well,
we're
we're live, though,
One.
yeah, so.
Thank you. Excellent work, Jessica. Welcome back. David Samson has a list of grievances that he'd like to file related to Meadowlark Media. One of them is that he is now going to be, for the foreseeable future, his local hour is going to be on Wednesdays instead of Thursdays because Meadowlark Media has signed a new deal with Mina Kimes.
Oh, wow. Getting bumped. Part of my deal, though, was to not be on the day Samson's on. I mean,
we've got some issues, as you know, as you could
Just
tell
take an extra day, Stu.
from the start of the show.
I'm thinking just Mondays and Tuesdays going forward here. I mean,
Billy, you wanted to bring up Giancarlo Stanton and the fact that he hit his 400th home run. You brought up a question. What are the numbers related to Stanton? Because you're wondering whether Stanton's a Hall of Famer.
Well, so he hit his 400th home run, which I was surprised. I shouldn't be surprised because he hit, I think, 267 or something with the Marlins. I was more surprised that it's been 6 years already that he's been with the Yankees, and he's only hit 133 since. So I think he's like the fourth or fifth fastest to get to 400 career home runs. He's only 33 years old, but like he's only hit 133 home runs the last 6 years because of health. So how many? He's young enough that you'd think he could hit 500, 600 easily if he keeps it up, but he's just not at that pace right now.
Also, he stinks.
Oh, okay. Well, Chris says he
That
stinks
too,
off mic. Yeah.
He
So
does.
then we're trying to figure out, like, is he gonna have the numbers to get into the Hall of Fame, and is he doing so in like kind of like this very almost like anonymous way? Like he's just putting up all these numbers, but they don't really mean all that much right now.
Is Stanton going to be the first guy with 500 home runs to not make the Hall of Fame?
No, there's more. There's people like that. Rafael Palmeiro's there. Gary Sheffield's there. Like there's A-Rod's there. Barry Bonds. There's plenty of people.
But we
What
know
do
what
those
they're
people
there.
have in
Right,
common?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, non-steroid division.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Stanton will be in the Hall of Fame at 500 home runs, for sure. And he's going to get to 500.
I mean,
remember,
500
he had to live through the COVID year where he only had 60 games. He has been injured, but he did it in the fourth fewest games ever, but he got older by a year when only having 60 games to play in 2020.
The Marlins just opened a series against the Dodgers. They beat Kershaw yesterday. They're a half game out of the wild
Who doesn't?
card. Your thoughts in general about the Dodger story involving Julio Urias. He is another domestic abuse charge for the team that gave us Trevor Bauer. What's going to happen there with his career?
I would say he was going to be the highest paid free agent. He's a Boris client who was going into his free agent year. He already had been suspended in 2019, somehow forgiven and forgotten. And all he had to do to collect a long-term deal from some sucker was going to be to keep pitching, be healthy, and not get arrested. And he could not do all three. So following his arrest for felony battery, and it happened when he went to see Messi, how he was on that list of celebrities who went to see Messi is strange to me. But that said, he's finished. I do not believe there will be any team who will offer him a contract. I believe his suspension, no matter what Boris does, no matter how much he tries to not have it that way, I think Urias' best chance is to be Bauer's teammate over in Japan, because I do not believe he will get a contract of any kind, and he'll likely be suspended for a year because he's the first ever two-time offender of this policy, and they've got to make an example of him because this behavior just has to stop.
The Marlins fattened up on the Nationals. They'd be well under 500 if the Nationals didn't exist.
How
I
dare
think there's
you.
something like
I hate that. I hate when people say that.
Thank
Why?
Well, they're good against one team, but they're below 500 against teams who are over 500, not named Washington. You got to play them all. They are where they are, and they're a half game out with only a few weeks left to play. You got to give them the credit.
I don't think Dan's doubting you have to play them all. He's just saying that they're beating the Nationals a lot.
I heard the stats. I believe I have this right. Not only are they 14-2 against the Nationals this year, but I think they've won 17 of the last 20 at Washington. Like, they really fatten up on the Nationals.
He hates that.
Good.
I mean, but
Okay.
the Braves fatten up on the Nationals and the Marlins too. Like every
The Braves
team's
fatten up on everybody.
Yeah.
Well, not.
They just
They
went
do.
3 of 4 against the Dodgers. They
the
man,
Marlins are 1-0 against the Dodgers.
I
yesterday.
saw
Boom.
they track all this stuff now, Stugotz, and I saw the stat the other day that the Braves have hit 182 baseballs at more than 110 miles an hour. It's 100 more than any other team, and the teams beneath them with 88. Angels and the Yankees, the teams with Ohtani and Judge. The Braves hit the ball harder
Stanton.
than everybody
And
else.
Stanton.
And Stanton, yes, when he's
See
healthy.
what I'm saying?
And Trout.
People forget about him.
And Jazz Chisholm hit the hardest ball I've ever seen last night.
That was a bomb. That was only 109 to your point about the Braves.
I think he came close to hitting the roof. What is the furthest ball you've seen hit at the park? They all Stanton related?
Stanton hit the scoreboard in left field once and broke it, but the most unbelievable shot was the BP during the home run derby when Aaron Judge hit the roof, which we had been promised by the architect and the contractor that no one would ever be able to hit the roof. And we had guys try when the building was under construction. We had Hanley in there hitting balls. We were trying to hit the roof, and no one could, and Judge did.
What is the cost of Stanton breaking the scoreboard? What does that cost?
It's 6 figures.
Didn't he just break a couple like LED panels?
Yeah, but it's not like changing a battery on your smoke detector in the middle of the night with a ladder.
Did you find him?
Yeah, what is
No.
it then?
Oh.
I mean,
No, you just do
you
it.
had to
It's
replace
part-
the entire thing, or?
No, you take it out of the public CapEx fund.
Oh.
What does that mean?
I think that's for like public.
There's
parks
always
or
a
something.
fund
You
to
steal
take
from the
shit out
people,
of.
probably.
There's always a fund.
Some little kid didn't get his school books that year.
Six
No,
figures?
the fund is not from that. Billy, come on. The fund is from tourist tax revenue only.
6 figures?
Yeah, those scoreboards are very, very expensive, and it's you don't just bring in a square, like take the square out and put the square in. It's a whole Megillah. It was not ideal. We actually were told we tried to get it covered by the warranty, and we were unable to do it. But it was a fight because our view was we thought the scoreboard could be in danger, not the center field scoreboard, but the left field scoreboard. There was a chance that someone could hit it. And so we tried to do it when it was procured. We tried to get the procurement officer when the ballpark was being built to have it under warranty in case that would happen. And the warranty was for problems with the wiring or problems with how it was installed, but they would not insure it against baseballs.
What do you regard as the greatest find of money like that, where you've been able to use a warranty or something baseball related creatively and get someone to cover an expense in your history covering the Marlins that you feel like you got away with a little something by being able to execute it?
We got an insurance company to pay all legal fees for the huge lawsuit that happened with the Expos Limited Partners when they sued us and Bud Selig and Bob Dupay under RICO. And there was some question as to whether or not they can be covered. And it was a multi-year fight, which we prevailed, not just against the partners who won nothing, but also against the insurance company. The biggest successes in that regard are when you get insurance companies to pay anything, because as all of you know, they love taking your premiums every single year, but they do not like paying out anything, and you have to fight. And when we got the check, which was in the millions and millions of dollars for that, I viewed that as a huge, huge victory.
We have something here that I want to play for David because he's a germaphobe, and I cannot imagine his level of disgust. The average person would be fairly disgusted with a diarrhea outbreak on an airplane.
Man.
Jessica was wondering why this doesn't happen more often, given the disgusting habits of travelers. Do you have as well, there is the video for those of you who wish to see the diarrhea airplane. Do you have the pilot? Do you have the sound of the pilot that people recorded? This is not what you want to hear if you are in a closed tube and the pilot has the microphone.
Negative. It's just a biohazard issue. We've had a passenger who had diarrhea all the way through the airplane, so they want us to come back to Atlanta.
That's the second thing you don't want to hear. There's really something much more major that you don't want to hear.
Yeah. I don't think they say that. I don't think we're going down. It's all over. I don't think
They need
that's
to
something.
focus,
I don't think that's something they announce.
I think when you see flight attendants running up and down the aisle, I think that's when you get worried. I always look at flight attendants when I'm flying during turbulence in order to gauge how scared I should be. If they're still serving drinks or they're still on their phones, even when the pilot says sit down, I feel like I'm good. But when they're like grabbing life rafts, I feel like
I've
we
never
got an
seen
issue.
that.
Bad sign. Yeah.
Had a passenger who had diarrhea all the way through the airplane, so.
Isn't Diarrhea Plane just like the entire plot of the movie Airplane?
I don't actually understand physically how that happened. I don't
simple,
know how
David.
it would
It-
overflow.
what do you mean?
in
No,
that
it's
way.
simple.
It sounds like somebody was running down the hall or running down the aisle.
Somebody had Burger King before the flight. They took off. Well, I'm just.
We're trying to get them as a sponsor,
Yeah,
Chris.
everyone's a potential sponsor.
Why BK? I mean,
That can we take that back? Can we edit that out?
No.
Yeah, it's an excellent start.
That was the biggest
today
mistake of the segment
by
by
Chris
far.
Cody and Jessica. This is what happens when they're in charge. Can you please tell me, though, how you would react, David, because you are somebody who just is super, super cleanly.
There's a chance that I would open the emergency exit at 30,000 feet.
What was your reaction to this story? Is this something that you worry about when traveling with others?
It had never occurred to me. I do have, though I don't think we have time right now, I have one of the great poop stories in all of baseball, and it involves the former president of the New York Yankees.
You have 20 seconds.
No, wait a minute. We've got to tease it. That's fine. That's
Wow.
he has
Great
promised.
tease.
You do not want to overpromise and underdeliver here.
I will not.
You are alleging that when we come back from break, you have one of the greatest baseball poop stories ever told, and that it involves the current or the former president of the Yankees.
Current.
Okay, that's a hell of a tease. What are you laughing about, Samson?
I can't believe what I'm about to tell you. I just can't.
Okay, you were very excited about telling us. So name the culprit. This is a person who is still in baseball.
I can't. Are we back?
yes. You teased it. You have to by law. I mean,
It's a very, very true story. Fred Wilpon, the owner of the Mets, has a plane that he would offer rides to owners' meetings. And he would offer me and Jeffrey rides when we were in New York to owners' meetings. And he would also offer rides to the Yankees contingent. And Randy Levine, the president of the Yankees, would take him up on that. So it's Fred Wilpon's plane, not Jeff Wilpon, two different planes. Fred Wilpon's plane. So we're on the plane, and there's an unwritten rule when you're on someone's private plane, and it's very simple. You don't drop a deuce, period. That's a hard and fast rule, even in an emergency. And it's not like we're flying to Asia. We're flying to whether it's Milwaukee or Chicago or California. We're sitting there, and the Yankees and Mets, there's not a lot of love lost between them. It's not like Fred and Randy are bosom buddies. It's not a Tom Hanks, Peter Scolari situation. All of a sudden, we're sitting there, we're talking, we're eating food because there's food on the plane. Randy Levine stands up, he walks to the back. Normal, we assume it's to go pee-pee. He goes to the back. A minute passes. 5 minutes pass. On the 8th minute, and I remember it clear as day, we're trying to eat sandwiches. There were nice crudités, nice cheese. All of a sudden, through the vents, instead of air conditioning, comes a stench that seems like we ran over a sewer pipe. Out from the vents comes this smell of crap. All of a sudden, Randy Levine, in minute 9, opens the door, and out comes this waif, this smell. And he looks, and he says, "That wasn't me." Of course it was him. The entire plane knew that he had just taken the smelliest crap. And the result was that Fred said, "You are banished."
Oh, wow.
He could no longer fly on the plane. He was put in the penalty box for a period of about 8 owners' meetings. It was 2 years before he and Jeff must have had a fight over who Randy would fly with because he wasn't allowed on the plane. It was the grossest, most unbelievable violation, though it was not in the aisle. But the smell coming through the vents is a smell, back when I had it, that I will never, ever forget.
I do believe the tabloids have to figure out a way to aggregate that in order to fuel the Mets-Yankees rivalry with the breaking news of Levine banned from Mets private plane for shit.
I figured since they were baseball guys and he broke the unwritten rules, he'd just throw a baseball at him.
At Le Batard Show, put it on the poll, please. Should a 50-plus-year-old use the phrase "go pee-pee" when not talking to a child? At Le Batard Show. Samson, you don't seem like yourself today. Are you mad? Are you mad at Pablo? Are you mad at us? Who are you mad at?
Angry is not the word. I think disappointed. I'm very happy for Pablo. I am super excited for his new show, Pablo Torre Finds Out. His first episode dropped yesterday. It's an amazing episode about long-lost Trump tapes that you appear on. I love the new show that Amin has, Oddball. Metalark has a great selection of shows. What I have not been able to ascertain is how you allocate your resources, both your people resources, your money resources, your time resources, because Nothing Personal, which is one of your shows that you wanted to have as part of Metalark Media, we get nothing. We do a show every day. It's only me and Coca, 2 of us, every day, giving you numbers. And I look at Pablo's show, and I watch it, and he had told me during the lead up to this all of the support he was getting and all of the people who were working on it. And it shows in the quality, and it shows what a great show it is. But I don't know why you wouldn't want to make a good show even better and greater and put resources into it. But I don't even know who to call because no one returns Slack messages or emails. And you, unless it's 4 a.m. and it's a, "Hey, how you doing? Are you fighting with your ex-wife?" You're not useful in terms of being helpful to me. So if literally my last resort is asking Stu, you can understand that I don't like my chances.
Yeah.
David,
I'm trying to figure it out on God Bless Football, to be honest with you.
David, let me just tell you right now, all Dan's good for me is a screenshot of him watching the Rays game. He'll send me one a day. Like, see, I'm watching it. It's always within the first 3 innings, though.
He sends me a picture of Joe Rose in a Joe Rose T-shirt. I mean,
Go pee-pee.
big dog.
I feel like we have an opportunity at Metalark to really increase both our audio and video footprint, but it requires the company. It requires you to understand what your best is and then to make it even better and have an allocation for that. And I'm just not sure that anyone's doing that. Go pee-pee.
But you're one of our more popular shows as is. You're getting giant numbers the way that we're doing it with you.
He wants support.
He wants more.
Yes.
I want more.
More.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody wants more.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but-
Pablo's getting it, is
Yeah.
his point.
He
He
That's
got
what-
it without having the numbers. And it did not go unnoticed that his show was in your feed yesterday.
Well, they do that whenever they launch a new
That's
show.
just on your producer to do that.
No, we were just given permission last week that we can drop shows in the Le Batard network feed, but your specific show has a separate feed, which is the most successful sports podcast feed in the world. And so it gives numbers, and they'll put a launch, but nothing personal was never put in there when it launched with you guys.
I feel like we're in the weeds.
We are. We're
Oh,
deep.
no, that's not
No,
weeds.
we're
That's
deep-
numbers.
No, we're deep in the marsh. We are not,
Go
and
pee-pee.
we don't have an airboat. We are sinking into the quicksand of in-house complaints that you don't feel like you get enough support on your show.
Yeah, that's exactly. I don't know how to say it any more simply, and it hits you in the face when you see the well-produced Pablo Torre Finds Out show, which is going to be 3 days a week. You built a whole studio for him, and oh my God, the reason I'm not in that studio today is, we can't do live shows out of that studio.
Well,
What?
Yeah.
My show's live every day. Go
Afterthought.
pee-pee.
Good timing, I mean.
Go pee-pee.
I didn't know he was going to hit the button.
Well, all you got to do is look.
No, because every time I look at him, he just kind of stares at me like, I didn't do it.
This is going well.
I'm looking for him to give me like a, yeah, I'm really doing it. And I look at Chris, and Chris is like,
But there's a flow to it, you know.
is there?
Yeah.
Go pee-pee.
There has not been any flow whatsoever to Amin's last 3 appearances on this show. There hasn't been any flow to that
No
whatsoever.
flow with the pee-pee?
Go pee-pee.
David, can you please tell me what you think of Stephen Ross? I believe him to be in the category of worst owner South Florida has ever had. Many people would put Jeffrey Loria above him, but there aren't many that go above Stephen Ross. As the Dolphins begin another season, your thoughts on the ownership of Stephen Ross for 20 years is what?
Exactly what kind of runway does he have of popularity? He's done a great job developing Dolphin Stadium, Hard Rock Stadium, and all of the great events that are going there that line his pocket. Where's the Super Bowl? Where's the playoff victories? You can hate on Jeffrey and me, on Jeffrey and I all you want.
No, it's me.
There's a ring there. It may be 20 years ago, but there's a ring. Stephen Ross is not new. He's been around forever. And for whatever reason, the media and the people view him as, his red carpet. He's got the celebrity owners and he signs all the great players. Whatever. He hasn't won anything except for himself. So at what point does the media say and the fans say, by the way, Stephen Ross is the worst owner in sports history in Miami? And you may say it on this show, but you certainly don't say it privately, but now you said it publicly. So I'd like to aggregate that you think he's now the worst.
What do you mean I don't say it privately? Stephen Ross has been terrible for a long time in this market. I don't think he has any popularity.
Oh, can you chime in here, Chris, Billy,
Anybody? Anybody? You guys think that Stephen Ross is popular?
I've never thought of him in Loria's, like in the same realm as Loria.
I've never thought of him.
I mean, he's definitely not unpopular, but I don't think that he's like popular at the moment. When he came in, I think people liked him. I think people generally like him, but I think it goes to the value of not being an intentional public villain, right? Is like he's doing these things to the stadium. He seems to care a little bit and try, I think is why people don't dislike him, even though he hasn't been successful.
My
Do
general
you know how much money he gets from public coffers every single year?
No.
Do you assume that he gets nothing?
How much does he get? Of course he gets something. All these guys get something.
The deal that he signed for hosting all these great events that he does, it's done because every event that he gets, and it's all public record, he gets millions of dollars more of public money. Now, it's the same tourist money that is given. It's not instead of teachers and fire people, so I grant you that. But he always says, it's all private. This is all done by me, and that's absolute horse hockey. It's not the case.
He doesn't do a victory lap like you did, though. That's the whole thing.
That's kind of the difference. Yeah, he doesn't do like nanny nanny boo boo
Yeah.
every time he gets something.
Nanny nanny boo boo.
Yeah, like with his hand over his thumb like this. Nanny nanny boo.
That's how you do it. Yeah.
Go pee pee.
He's been an abject failure. I don't know many people. Like, this room is the most popular I've ever heard him be. He has been terrible for 20 years.
I've never heard as negative as you're saying right now. To me, he's just like, he's not great, not terrible, but
He
the
got
team's all right right
He's
now.
for
just there.
tampering.
Yeah.
He tampered with Tom Brady and got
That's
caught.
trying to win.
Because he was
baby.
trying to win.
How many playoff games has he won?
Is it 2 or 3? Is it 1?
I think it might be 0.
I thought it was 0.
It might be
but
0.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It might be
checking.
0. I really don't. I've never heard a positive appraisal of his ownership. I don't know how you arrive at 20 years with that little winning.
My feeling generally has always been indifference towards Stephen Ross because the Dolphins have been generally a team that's worth being indifferent about my entire life. The Marlins we at least saw win, and so when things went so terribly with the rest of the regime's run, it was infuriating because we saw what it could be. My entire life, the Dolphins have been
That's
mediocre,
funny,
so I haven't
That's-
cared about
that's
Stephen
so
Ross.
age specific. The Dolphins were the
terrible.
winningest franchise in
Yes.
all of sports. They had Marino and Shula.
I was born in 1995.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
0 playoff wins confirmed.
And how many playoff games have they made? Is it 3 playoff games that they've had total?
That Bills game was fun last year, though.
The stadium's real nice.
The thing with Stephen Ross on his Dolphins reign is there's always someone else to blame, whether it's the quarterback or the coach. There's always someone that's not him to take the fall for why they haven't succeeded, which is why he kind of skates on this stuff.
Also,
He's
he
just
does-
had better PR than we ever had. And the other thing that Jeremy mentioned is important. We provided a frame of reference that he's never provided, and that cost us in our Q rating.
we started talking simultaneously. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do if I literally at the same time he talks. I know where the clock is. I was just going to make a small. Also, he didn't do a victory lap. That's all I'm saying. I knew where the clock was. Him and I started at the same goddamn time. There's no way I can anticipate that. I'm looking at him. It's not like he had his mouth open. He's like, He wasn't doing that. He was staring just like me.
Go pee-pee.
I don't know if the cover-up is worse than the crime, but video, can you please put a photo up on the screen of Yankee President Randy Levine? Because Stugotz during the break was saying you can't emerge, and this is Stugotz talking.
Yes.
You can't emerge from a plane that smells like crap when you're the only one in the crapper and do the Shaggy routine of "wasn't me."
Can you say that you went in there and farted? No. I had to fart, so I wanted to be alone. I'm just trying to look for.
David had him at 9 minutes in the bathroom. I mean, 9 minutes.
A lot of activity happened in those 9 minutes.
Why were you counting the minutes, incidentally?
Because
he's weird. Like, that's the answer.
Because I like when the bathroom is available. I have a bad stomach. And so wherever I am, and whether I'm running or whatever I'm doing, I need to know where the nearest bathroom is. And I wasn't. He was the president of the Yankees while I was the president of the Expos or Marlins. I wasn't about to knock. That is a violation. You don't knock on the door when someone's in a private bathroom. But I needed it to be empty because there's always gurgling with me. That's why.
Time out. You said that it didn't matter what the circumstances were, even if it was an emergency. You're not allowed to do that on another person's private plane, and now you've just disclosed that you have a stomach gurgling issue and you might need to go to the bathroom. Which one is it?
I need to know that it's available. That actually helps. It helps it not happen when you know that it can happen.
So Billy was right.
Your head, man. There's a lot going on up there.
Yes, there is.
Sad
but true.
His mind is a prison. You use horse hockey. I enjoyed Deion Sanders cleaning it up for the kids using bull junk. I think you should just be able to let it fly. I think it's more disorienting when you change the wording to dilute it than to just curse.
I love it. I don't agree, actually. I think it's more effective and people remember it more. And we just released on DavidSampsonPodcast.com a horse hockey T-shirt as part of our new merch line. So it is an expression that I love, and it's pretty descriptive. And I don't ever want to say on anybody's show the S word, because then it causes work in the back row of the container where they have to edit it out and beep it. It causes a whole thing. So I prefer just not to swear.
I got a new shirt for you.
Go pee-pee.
Nick Bosa is being fined so much that it's up to $4 million. What are you shaking your head about? Is this some bogus thing? This isn't a bogus thing anymore, where you can just rack up all the fines, and then as soon as you get to camp, they erase them all.
The Niners already said this. If you're going to fine a player, you have to make the player believe that when he finally gets it and signs a deal or reports, which he's under contract, he's on his 5th-year option, he's got to report, that you're going to take the $4 million and keep it, and you can give it to charity, and we can do a charity of our choice. We may even give you the deduction if you so choose. But to go out and say, John Lynch, hey, everything's been good and healthy and productive, and we're going to give him the $4 million back when he comes back, to me, it completely defeats the purpose of rewarding a player who is doing what I find to be absolutely unacceptable. However pro-management you think I am, not in this case. A player's under contract. Play.
Oh, what are you doing? The football contracts are stupid. They're not guaranteed. They're just lopsided in favor of management. And if a guy is underpaid, this is what he has to do in order to...
It's all he can do.
To create more value. And he is underpaid, and anybody in the sport would pay that person.
Everybody in baseball until their 6th year, all the superstars are underpaid until they gain free agency. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, but
football,
that's not a salary cap.
Years.
It's not a salary cap sport. You're talking about in this sport, what has happened to the contracts has made it so that these guys don't have a recourse. They're not holdouts right before a season in baseball.
Why is it that you think that the contracts are not guaranteed in the NFL?
They can't be. You can't guarantee them because of injury.
That's it. So I'm not sure I understand what your point of view is. You can't go to CBA, go to the bargaining table, and go after guaranteed contracts if you're the NFL Players Association.
The players have contracts, and they get waived all the time. They get waived all the time with the contract to avoid backloading the payment, to avoid the payment.
So does half your audience. everybody who is an at-will employee.
No, but baseball's guaranteed money. Baseball, the money is guaranteed. When you sign the contract, you get that money.
That is a major issue because often you're paying players who are not performing or who are injured, but the number of players who get guaranteed contracts, you may think it's a lot, but getting free agency in baseball is very difficult. And arbitration, there you can release a player within a period of time, call it 45 days, and their contract does not become guaranteed until after that period of time. But of course, the reason management in baseball was willing to do guaranteed contracts is because there was a better chance in baseball that you would get a return on that investment than there is in football.
But what's a player to do in the NFL, David? He signs a contract. Years later, he feels like he deserves more because other players who aren't as good are getting more than he's getting. So what's he to do?
Andre Dawson made less money in his career than half the scrubs. So it's not based on what your career earnings are, what your annual pay is. If you're asking what sport your kid should play, it shouldn't be football, because being a professional football player, your career length, if you even make it, is minimal. Maybe 3 years is the average career at best, and your likelihood of being hurt, if not hurt permanently, is greater. But if that's a skill that someone has, they do it. But part of the rules of engagement are you are signing a rookie deal. It's slotted, just like draft picks in Major League Baseball, just like young players in Major League Baseball. You are slotted. If you can make it to free agency, you can negotiate and get whatever you want.
But David, that's the whole reason why they hold out, right? Because the uncertainty of their career. Because they don't. I'm healthy right now. I don't know if I'm going to be healthy by the time I get to free agency. So I have to take this opportunity now to renegotiate my deal, because by the time I'm eligible to do that, it might be too late.
But the union agreed to the rookie contracts. They agreed to the fifth-year option for first-rounders. This was not unilaterally implemented by management.
But
this was negotiated and bargained.
But collective bargaining is so complex because you are bargaining, in essence, for however many thousand players there are in the NFLPA. And as a result, because there's a lot of issues, it's not just that issue. There are a lot of issues on the table, and the vast majority of those players need their paychecks. So they will agree to a bad deal in order to get the paychecks going again. It is the inherent advantage of 32 owners versus thousands of players, in that it's easier to get 32 people on the same page than it is to get thousands of players, some of whom are making hundreds of millions and some of them are making hundreds of thousands.
The majority of which are making hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
But if you're going to talk about that, why wouldn't you talk about the pilots union or the flight attendants union or the auto workers? It's every situation where there is a union and you've got disparate pay scales and you've got people fighting for certain things and they make choices. NFL players would tell you that when they're at the table, they're really focused on pension. They're focused on post-career benefits. Baseball players, when they're at the table, could give a flying rat's ass. And owners love that fact because long-term liabilities on your balance sheet suck. So to the extent that we can get any give on any sort of post-career, any sort of pension or ERISA issue, we're willing to give a ton of stuff in order not to have that, because baseball players have a different goal than football players. So you have to know what you want. And football players made the decision. We will do a rookie scale. We'll do a 4-year or a 5-year, but we want to be taken care of if we can't do the alphabet when we're 35. I get that.
It all goes back to what I just said, is because the inherent danger of their job. Pilots and teachers, they're not in danger of having CTE.
Well, except the guy flying the diarrhea plane.
Right.
He's got some dangers. And there's
That's
the other.
hazard
The
pay.
Or
there
the
is
private
other,
jet that Randy Levine is on. Right.
Weird profession to choose, pilots.
Oh, pilots love being pilots. Why is that a weird profession?
Amin said that.
I didn't say that. He said it.
All right, we're in the weeds here. What's the movie you're reviewing, David? Excellent work, Chris Cody.
It's NFL Week 1 coming up, so I wanted to give you my top 5 NFL movies.
Oh, wow.
Let's see, has there ever been a good NFL movie? Longest Yard is about it. All right, what do we have here? What do you have?
Exciting.
Number 5, Brian's Song.
Oh, let's go on.
Chris Cody, we need the fanfare.
Any?
Yes.
If you don't cry at the story with James Caan, Brian Piccolo, Gail Sayers,
It's a good one. Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
Number 4, Any Given Sunday. That is a great football movie directed by Oliver Stone. I assume that is the only movie on my list that would appear on Adnan's list, but it is the fourth best football movie that I have seen.
There was an eyeball on the field.
So?
There was an eye. Come on.
Great movie.
Number 3.
Lucas.
The Ray Lucas story, huh?
Jessica, what are you laughing at? Are you laughing right next to Chris Cody? He's not feeling very good about himself right now. Are you laughing with braying laughter right in his ear in a way that's haunting him?
Yes.
I believe that Lucas has aged well enough that I believe all of the young people would love Lucas. Corey Haim, Kerry Green, Charlie Sheen, I believe, is even in that movie. It is a movie about a kid who doesn't have a lot going for him. Number 2. The Blind Side.
Oh, my God.
I am not willing to say that because of what we've learned about Michael O'Hare or what we know about his mother, adopted, not adopted, conservatorship, whatever, it's a great movie, great story, and I refuse to feel badly for not feeling worse about the real-life situation.
It is not a great movie. I don't believe you've named any great movies except for maybe Brian's song.
Also, shout out to Mike O'Hare.
Yes.
My favorite airport.
A little better than Mike Midway.
Franco Harris.
Number 1.
Or, excuse me.
Yeah, that's all right.
Number 1, Jerry Maguire.
Very good.
Again, notwithstanding the off-field behavior of Cuba Gooding Jr., I would say that Jerry Maguire is an all-timer for me, certainly on my top 100 list, and I consider him to be the best football character with maybe Nick Nolte in second place of North Dallas 40. But the overall movie, Cameron Crowe, you cannot go wrong. Jerry Maguire's number 1.
Nothing Personal is the name of the podcast. Thank you, David.
See ya. Go pee-pee.
The award-winning God Bless Football is about to take flight again. I feel bad for Billy Gill. Billy Gill trudges into the office. He's got 2 babies, and he's muttering under his breath in a really super joyless way, I don't know if I can withstand another postseason run. He wants his Marlins to win, but he's scared of his Marlins getting into the playoffs.
Well, because here's the thing, right, is it's been a fun season so far, but, like, it always fizzles out around this point. So I'm like, yeah, like, just let's make this as fun as long as possible. And now we're here, and the Marlins just keep kind of staying in it and may make the playoffs. And I don't know that emotionally I can – it's been a year for all of us here down here in South Florida. The Panthers had a run. The Heat had a run. There was Final Four appearances. Like, just there's been success at all levels. The fake cup that they won. Yeah. So there's like this whole we don't need to get into Messi. That's a whole Megillah. So there's all these things going on at the same time. And now the Marlins are like maybe going to do a postseason run just as football season starts. And like, I want them to do well. I want them to succeed. But like, I don't know that my body can take it.
What's
physically.
the but? Like, you want them to do well. What are you talking about? Enjoy this.
Billy, there are few things better than an NFL Sunday followed by a little wild card baseball game at night. Like, it's fantastic, and you're part of it. You have a chance to be part of this, Billy. That's big. You're a Marlins fan.
Yeah, but my body.
I know.
Well, and you're headed into a season with Stugotz, and I don't know what the latest grifts are, but I always assume that if Stugotz doesn't have a grift working, life is not fun unless he can create a grift. And I always think that there is something that he is up to that is shady at the very best. I don't know why he's been driving in with a automobile that has Texas plates on it for 2 weeks.
I mean,
What?
it's a whole Megillah, Dan, but rental cars are just my daughters are home from college. Now, one went back to Syracuse. The other one has trimesters at Northwestern, so she's still home. And so we needed a rental car, so I've been using rental cars nonstop. And I got to talk about rental cars for a second because there are 2 things on the rental car front. Number 1, why is my rental car not ready when I fly? And I travel a lot. Why is the car not there when I arrive at the rental car place? That's number 1. Number 2 is, why are we waiting in long lines, and why are we using antiquated printers that print out paper where you have to tear off the sides, and with an actual pen, you are Xing all the spots that I have to initial and sign? Can we not do better? Can we not do better on the rental car front? And budget fast break, are you kidding me? That is a slow break. It's the Celtics back in the 80s. It is Ainge, Bird, and McHale coming down on a fast break. Budget fast break my ass. Get out of here. I want the rental car to be ready for me when I get to my destination.
So, Stugotz, I'm going to start with the paper, the printing. I have a theory that they all bought like trillions of pounds of this paper, and until it's done, they're not going to transition. It's like, nope, this paper's sitting here. We're using this paper.
It's in storage.
We're using this ink. When it's done, we'll transition to iPads and just, check this box here.
I still don't have any clarity on your car situation, though. Like, it's very confusing because
It sounds like he's got 3 cars and 3 people at the house now is what he needs, a third car.
So, Billy, when the girls went to college, their leases expired. We brought the cars back. So we have 2 cars for 2 people.
But you've been driving cars saying they're your daughter's cars, so you turned in your car to keep their car?
We just turned in any 2 cars, whatever 2 cars were up at the time. And so we have 2 cars for 2 people. When one of them is home, we have 2 cars for 3 people, which is an inconvenience for my wife or my daughter. So I get a rental car.
Do they go out all day long that they need a car each?
I was thinking about that, too.
I mean,
why can't they just split a car?
Or, hey, Mom, drop me off.
I mean, Rachel's going to various trainers getting ready for the lacrosse season, and Abby, I don't know what she's doing.
Stugotz, about the picking up your car. This is weird because I don't rent cars anymore, but when I used to work at ESPN, I would fly to JFK and then I'd rent a car and drive up to Bristol. I never had to wait for a car. You go, if you're part of like National or whatever, they've got like, just pick a car. whatever car's in your class, it's right there in the lot. Just walk out of the lot, pick one, drive off with it. Why are you?
I think you're an organized traveler, though. I think that you know what all your rewards are. You
Yeah.
know who you because you're a frequent traveler. You get all the VIP stuff. He's also a frequent traveler, but he's sloppy and he will not organize
doubt.
anything.
Yep.
So he's not getting any VIP.
You have to be
treatment.
spending like $5,000 a month on a rental car. You've had that
You're
rental
really
car.
fixated on the rental car.
Well, it
I
just
mean,
seems so inefficient and
I know.
irresponsible.
Well, you're probably right. But when I go to work, what I'm saying is, Billy, there are two people, one car. So what are they supposed to do?
Why can't she Uber?
Where is she going? Like, you live in a country club. What do
Right.
you need to leave the country club for? Don't they have
She
everything
travels
there?
30 minutes north to see a trainer every morning.
but
I mean,
she's in Buffalo
You're
training
rich, huh?
now.
no, she was in Buffalo training, and now she's back home. She doesn't leave for school until mid-September. And to answer Chris's question, yes.
I think you should just be working from home while she's here.
I'm in.
How long is it before we're not using paper and pens anymore?
Never. That's never going away. Paper and pens is never going away because you can scribble a lot faster than you can type. Well, I take that back. Maybe evolution is going to get us to a point where people don't know how to scribble. They just know how to type.
Well, cursive
Jess?
is dying, correct? Cursive there.
What's
I don't know
cursive?
how old does a child have to be to not have any knowledge of what cursive handwriting even is?
My 10-year-old is doing it, and I was like, why?
You're wasting
It's
your
for
time.
signatures, right? That's all you need cursive for.
Pretty much.
What is cursive for, anyways? We don't really need that.
It was like
we never needed that.
exactly. Fancy people in the 1800s wanted to show you how elegant they were.
Connected, like your
the
letters are
Well,
connected.
the whole thing was that you didn't pick your pen up off the paper, and I guess
more
because-
What am I
efficient.
drafting the Declaration of Independence? I don't need cursive.
I'm with you on. I don't need to initial something 17 times. Like, can't I
Right.
just at the bottom of the document initial it? And that I am initialing this entire document.
Right.
I've read it. I don't need
One
to
initial. Right.
every line.
You haven't read it though. Nobody's read it.
That's besides the point.
that happens a lot at the doctor's office. You guys ever go to the doctor's office
Yeah.
and like fill out this clipboard and it's like, okay, have you had this medical control? All right, cool. And then it's like, you agree to pay. Okay. You agree to this. I'm like, guys, I just want to see the doctor.
Right.
I don't want to sign a bunch of papers.
What other medications are you taking? You have to list them all. It's a pain in the ass.
At what point
business.
do you think doctors stopped caring about patients and it just became a business?
the 80s.
No,
That's when
before
most
that.
of the bad things started in this country.
The wild card baseball games, Stugotz, are on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
You know what I
this
mean,
year.
Dan. When your team's involved in the baseball playoffs, okay, and on Sunday night you have a long day of NFL, it's great. You get the Sunday night game. There's also a baseball playoff game weaved in. Occasionally, the U.S. Open final this first weekend, this Sunday, you'll have the 1 o'clock games followed by the U.S. Men's Open final. And that's a fun day, and you have a chance to be a part of that. You have a chance to be a playoff team in Major League Baseball. That doesn't happen often to the Marlins, Billy. That's fun. You should be embracing this.
To Stugotz's point, I long for the days where we had Joe Buck doing a 12 o'clock or a 1 o'clock NFL game and then flying on a PJ over to do a World Series game or ALCS game.
So this Sunday, we have an opportunity, perhaps, depending on if Team USA and Canada both win. Sunday, 8:40 a.m., the FIBA championship game could be USA versus Canada. 1 p.m., the full slate of NFL games. 4 p.m., full slate of NFL games. 4 p.m., also the U.S. Open men's final, which could be Djokovic versus Alcaraz.
Right.
And then 8:30 p.m., Giants versus Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. And I'm checking right now, is there baseball on Sunday night?
This is a bad week for that FIBA tournament.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch fantasy football now than that final.
But that's a Sunday right there.
USA versus Canada?
I need to see who to start in the 4 p.m. window.
The American basketball team has arrived in the uncomfortable place where only them losing matters, correct? They
course.
lost to Lithuania. It's the only thing that we notice. It's Alabama football, is that? How many things in sports are that at this point where the only thing you're going to pay attention
Colorado football.
to is did they lose?
For sure. Colorado's on that list now. I would throw in the Astros. People are really invested in the Astros losing because of, the cheating.
But there's no slam dunk in baseball.
No, it's not that it's a slam dunk. It's not that the Astros are so dominant, even though they've been very good, obviously, in winning World Series. But it's like baseball people love to see the Astros lose.
I think that's fair. I think more people universally care to root against the Astros than anybody else in baseball. It used to be the Yankees. It used to be that everybody was waiting for the Yankees to lose, but because they've been relatively irrelevant for the last decade, the Astros winning all of that time has changed.
And the Braves. Everyone hates the Braves.
What's
Ronald Acuna. Ugh.
It's the
I
cheating.
think you're
though.
just in Marlon's group chats.
That's not true. That is not
The
true.
Cowboys,
Or
one of the
zero.
most exciting players in baseball.
He is ridiculous. He's on base half the time, and when he gets to first, then he's on second. And
No, but Billy's right. Like, we're tired. We know how this ends. It ends with them not winning the World Series. I mean,
possibly that is correct. There are a lot of very good baseball teams, and baseball is funny that way. But they're clearly better than everybody. Like that's okay.
Do it in October.
Fair enough.
They're so
they have
good,
recently,
Dan.
by the way.
Well, please do it again. They're so good, though. It's not fair. How can one team be so good and so much better
And
than
they're going to be
everyone?
that good for like a decade.
that's not
Everybody's
fair.
locked up on cheap deals for the whole time.
And it's not even just the winning. It's what you said earlier. Like, they just hit the ball harder than everybody.
And they're fun. That's annoying. You don't get to be fun and good.
Exactly right.
It is so good to have one of those teams that everyone hates just because you're too good. I do wonder on the Colorado thing, because you are sitting out something if you want to root against this, and it is possible, obviously, that they score 10 points against Nebraska and lose. But it is such a shitty way to watch what everyone else is enjoying when you're just sitting there rooting for Dion to lose because he's a loudmouth and you don't want it to be as easy as they made it look in week one. How do you change a historically bad program in one day? Jessica, did you find a lot of hatred for Dion?
Oh, are you kidding me? Like, yes, he is hated for like so many reasons. Some of them just like ridiculous. Some of them like, yeah, not great what he did, getting people to transfer when he just took over a new job. But you know what? He won the game, and that's all that matters, Dan.